to Arlington National Cemetery this Memorial Day. There were commemorations last night in Washington ahead of the holiday. That was sound from the National Memorial Day concert on PBS. ABC's Justin Finch has more on the Texas shooting that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead.
Visitation services are being held today for 2 victims of that deadly shooting at Robb Elementary. A community both grieving and demanding answers as new details emerge about the response from Uvalde area police.
ABC's Marcus Moore is in Uvalde with more.
People here in this small town, they are still hurting. And we have watched a constant stream of families coming here to Robb Elementary to leave flowers, to pay their respects. And what they really want are solutions, whether that is gun control or more security at the schools, whatever it takes to keep this from happening again.
The Department of Justice is investigating the police response to the shooting. 1 person was killed, 7 wounded in a shooting that took place outside Tulsa, Oklahoma during a town festival on Sunday. The gunman there turned himself in. Millions of Americans stranded or delayed as the holiday weekend travel woes continue.
With record high gas prices, soaring airfares, and hundreds of flight cancellations from coast to coast, travel is tricky this Memorial Day weekend. Across the country, roughly 2,000 flights canceled since Friday. Delays forcing passengers to rebook. And airfares are up too, 33% in April from a year ago. TSA beefing up its workforce to keep pace, screening about 2 million passengers a day, pre-pandemic numbers.
ABC's Phil Lipoff. A climber was killed, 2 others injured Sunday after a rock fall and avalanche in Rocky Mountain National Park. European Union leaders gathering in another show of solidarity with Ukraine. President Zelensky will address them by video conference tonight, demanding that the EU target Russia's energy sector in its next round of sanctions. You're listening to ABC News.
Are you more than $10,000 in debt? Feel like you're on a never-ending treadmill, staying in one place and never getting ahead with those minimum payments? You feel like there's no way out? Don't let the credit card companies bully you anymore. There are programs in place to help you get free of your debt, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. The program at Total Financial Freedom can help you get debt-free in months instead of decades. Get off the debt treadmill and stop the harassment. Get free of credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and medical bills. Call now at 800-533-6605 for free information. For about 10 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, too. Get off the endless cycle without having to declare bankruptcy. You'll have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call Total Financial now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605.
A surviving boater charged with boating under the influence after a deadly boating collision on a Georgia river near Savannah, Georgia. 5 people were killed in the crash on Saturday. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
2 boats collided on the Wilmington River near Savannah Saturday morning. 9 people total were on board the boats, traveling in opposite directions when they collided. Among those dead, 4 members of the same family. A history teacher at a Christian school in Savannah, Chris Leffler, and his wife, Lori. Their 2 sons, 23-year-old Zach and 17-year-old Nate.
The trend in child hepatitis cases around the world is growing. Here's ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
About 650 children across the globe have been found to have probable cases of severe hepatitis, liver disease. The cause unknown, say officials from the World Health Organization in a new report. About a third of the cases are in the U.S. The cases were reported in April and May. 38 children required transplants. 9 children died.
Top Gun Maverick took off at the box office this opening weekend. The sequel earning an estimated $124 million through Sunday, almost double the best opening ever for a Tom Cruise movie. It's projected to hit $151 million by the end of the holiday weekend, very close to the Memorial Day weekend record holder, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. The sequel to the 1986 summer blockbuster reportedly cost $170 million to make. This is ABC News.
Parents, it's time to cross off life insurance from your to-do list. With Fabric, protecting your family with great term life insurance is easy, fast, all online, and affordable. Fabric's policies start at less than $1 a day. You could be approved on the spot with no health exam and no risk. Cancel anytime. Stop putting it off. Apply today at meetfabric.com/future. That's MEET fabric.com/future. Fabric Insurance Agency policies issued by Vantis Life. Not available in New York and Montana. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It's the time of year to come to NC Tractor for the selection of Massey Ferguson tractors and Bobcat zero-turn mowers. NC Tractor gives fantastic customer service, the best discounts possible, and it's a locally owned business. NC Tractor on Railroad Avenue is helping to make outdoor work more enjoyable. Should you have something that you can be proud of for a long time? Massey Ferguson and Bobcat zero-turn mowers. Come look them over. 299 Railroad Avenue, Rutherfordton. That phone number is 288-0395.
Good morning. A hot Memorial Day in the forecast. Partly cloudy skies, high temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s this afternoon. Beautiful weather to be outside, by a pool, by a lake. Just make sure you're staying hydrated. Tonight, mostly clear. Low temperatures fall into the low to mid 60s tonight. And tomorrow, it's a hot and muggy day, partly cloudy with highs soaring into the low to mid 90s. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell in the Weather Center.
Thanks very much, Kat Campbell. It's 6 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is Monday, the 30th day of May, and it is an important day in our lives. It's Memorial Day to remember and reflect on those who gave their lives that we can do what we're doing today, and we should never forget that. Right now it's 64 degrees, warming up today to about 87 for a daytime high, with light wind today, dropping back to 67, a little warmer than we are right now for the overnight low. And then on Tuesday, mostly sunny with highs around 90. So summertime is definitely here for a while. Now I have these death announcements. Billy Jack Bradley, 45, of Forest City, passed away Saturday at his mother's home. Those arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Harrelson Funeral Home. Again, that's Billy Jack Bradley. Captain O.A. Fish, founder of South Mountain Christian Camp, passed away on Sunday at Hospice House in Forest City. Those arrangements are incomplete as well and will be announced by the Pageant and King Mortuary. Captain O.A. Fish, 88, passed away yesterday. Sally Jo Jordan passed away May 27th. McMahon Funeral will have the arrangements, and they'll be posted at a later time. Sally Jo Jordan. Ethel Ann Emery, age 79, of Forest City, passed away at Fairhaven Nursing Home. The information is incomplete at this time, and Crow's Mortuary is in charge of the arrangements, and they will get those to us in time for Ethel Ann Emery. Zach Crowder, age 38, of Rutherfordton, died Friday, May 27th. McMahon Funeral Home and Cremation Service is in charge of the arrangements. A private memorial graveside service will be held at a later date in honor of Zach. Evelyn Boyce Sanders Sappenfield, 94, of Forest City, passed away on Saturday, May 28th. Graveside services will be held 2 o'clock today at the Cool Springs Cemetery in Forest City. The family will receive friends following the service at the cemetery. The Pageant and King Mortuary and Crematory service, the family of Evelyn Boyce Sanders Sappenfield. Tony Oliver, age 56, of Cove Road, passed away Wednesday, May 25th, while being cared for at Hospice of the Carolina Foothills. A family-directed memorial service will be held at 3 o'clock Wednesday, June 1st at Saving Grace Church, located on Withrow Road in Spindale. The family will receive friends from 2 until 3 o'clock, and Crow's Mortuary is serving the family of Tony Oliver of Cove Road. Those are the death announcements we have in-house this morning. For complete information on these and others as they become available to us can be heard today at 11:35 and then again at 5:10 as part of the afternoon report here on WCAB in Rutherfordton. We hope everybody's up and at 'em this morning. Or if you have the day off, enjoy yourself. Do something nice for yourself, but just always remember what we're celebrating today. It's not a July 4th Independence Day, but it is a day of remembering. Memorial services being held downtown Forest City at 11 o'clock today as a remembrance and tribute to those who gave their lives that we might do what we're doing today. Bill O'Reilly Morning Update is next.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, AMAC is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful news, and a magazine full of uncensored content. They are pushing back against efforts to defund the police, weaken the borders, and corrupt our youth. But they need your help. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. On this Monday, here's my simple question, because I am a simple man, as you know. When did professional athletes decide to look like Hell's Angels? When exactly did that happen? Long, greasy hair, unkempt beards, tattoos, piercings on display. Is this a good look? I mean, come on, Aaron Rodgers, you look like the Werewolf of London out there. Basketball players are the worst because they have the smallest uniforms. Maybe some think a boa constrictor tat on the neck looks cool, but for me, I lose track of the game trying to figure out if the shooting guard has a pentagram on his thigh or what. Some Americans have always been easily led, and I favor individualism. But enough's enough with the Cro-Magnon look. Did your mother really raise you to look like that? The answer may be yes. There's Mom now sporting a dolphin tat. We live in a time where style is out of style. Sloppy is chic, disheveled is in. Why? Well, there has been a breakdown in personal discipline since the iPhone took over and since the pandemic took root. That's the most likely reason. But here's some astute advice. If you want to succeed in the marketplace, but cannot throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, it is imperative that you look classy. I don't care what people say. Image is important. Now this. Many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
WCAB, Rutherfordton.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
In 1851, professional gambler Charles Cora traveled to San Francisco with his 22-year-old paramour, Bella. Gambling being legal and Charles being a good gambler, he did well. But San Francisco's high society looked down upon them because he and Bella weren't married. In November of 1855, Charles and Bella went to a play at the American Theater. They outraged many there, including Marshall Richardson and his wife. Although asked to leave, Charles and Bella refused. Over the next couple of days, Charles and the Marshal exchanged insults until one evening Marshall Richardson called Charles out. Shots were fired and Marshall Richardson was dead. In Charles's first trial, the jury failed to come up with a decision. Charles was confident of an acquittal in the second trial. That is until May 14, when James Casey joined him in jail. James Casey had shot James King, a respected newspaper editor. 10,000 people gathered outside the jail seeking vengeance for the shooting of King. When Casey was turned over to the vigilantes, they also took Charles Cora. For 2 days, Cora and Casey were held by the vigilantes. When the newspaper editor died, Cora and Casey's fate was sealed. On May 22, as the editor was buried, Cora and King were hanged. Had Casey not killed the editor, Cora would have probably gotten off. But that's not the only point of irony. Just before Cora was hanged, he and Bella got married. Had they done this 9 months earlier, Cora wouldn't even have been in jail. You've just heard another story from Old West Radio. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Jesse James Railroad Express has added 2 new sandwiches to their menu. Try the all-new crispy chicken sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, or the crispy deluxe with lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, bacon, and cheese. Enjoy a refreshing milkshake or a hand-dipped ice cream cone. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. Closed Wednesday and Sunday. Jesse James Railroad Express, 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. Call 828-447-4644. Mondays only, hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for only $1.24 each. All aboard the Jesse James Railroad Express.
Congratulations to Jesse James Railroad Express, voted 2021 Best of Rutherford County hot dogs and hamburgers 5 years in a row.
All right, let's get started with our Monday morning call around the county news report, stopping first at the Sheriff's Department. And Sergeant Brandel is on the phone with me right now to give us an update. Good morning. How you doing? You doing okay today?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Beautiful sunny Mondays and Memorial Day, end of the month coming up, so everything's going just fine.
Yes, sir, it is.
Tell us what's been going on over the weekend.
Let's see. Past 48 hours, the Sheriff's Office has answered 222 calls, processed 12 arrests, and currently have 210 incarcerated. Under our incident reports, we have a Donald Price from DeWitt Owens Road in Rutherford reported a case of identity theft. We have a Daniel Scott Bennett, Golden Eagle Drive, Ellenboro, reported a injury to personal property. Looks like maybe someone shot a round off and hit his vehicle. We have a Candy Renee Buff, Chimney Rock Road in Rutherford, reported a incident of breaking and entering. Looks like miscellaneous property was taken in that incident. Under our arrest reports, we have a Ethan Mitchell King, 32-year-old white male of Bostic, was served with a true bill of indictment, given a $16,000 unsecured bond. We have a James Sheehan Jr., 36-year-old white male of Ellenboro, charged with injury to real property and cyber stalking, given a $2,000 secure bond. We have a Richard Brian McBrayer, 65-year-old white male of Rutherford, was charged with assault on a handicapped person. No bond listed on that. We have a Jeffrey Wayne Wright, a 51-year-old white male of Mooresboro, charged with one count of failure to appear on a misdemeanor, given a $500 secure bond. We have a Dominique Valentine, 25-year-old black male of Ellenboro, was served with 2 counts of true bill of indictment. No bond on that. We have a Sean Cook Swipson, 42-year-old black male of Ellenboro, charged with 1 count of domestic criminal trespassing. No bond on that. We have Angela Jefferson, 32-year-old black female of Mooresboro, charged with 1 count of assault and battery, given a $1,000 unsecured bond. We have a Keith Wayne Jones, 40-year-old black male of Shelby, charged with 2 counts of failure to appear on a felony, given a $4,000 secured bond. We have Lindsay Michelle Green, 31-year-old white female of Ellenboro, charged with, looks like 4 counts of failure to appear on misdemeanors, given a $3,500 secured bond. We have a Zeb John Davis, 38-year-old white male of Spindale, charged with being a habitual felon, or served with a habitual felon, given a $45,000 secured bond. We have James Mitchell Downing, 38-year-old white male of Rutherford, served with 1 count of failure to appear on misdemeanor, given a $500 unsecured bond. We have James Matthew Ridgewell, 30-year-old white male of Rutherford, charged with one count of felony flee to elude arrest with a motor vehicle, given a $10,000 secure bond. We have a Joshua Nathaniel Aldridge, 30-year-old white male of Morrisboro, charged with 4 counts of failure to appear on misdemeanor, given a $4,500 secure bond. And we have a Daniel Jones, 38-year-old white male of Morrisboro, was served with being a fugitive from South Carolina, given a $10,000 secure bond. And that's all we have this morning.
Anything new on the shooting over on Kelly Road that happened on Friday morning? Anything new on that?
Not that I know of. It was actually our weekend off, so I've not been updated on it yet.
Okay. All right, Sergeant Brown, thank you very much for this report, and you be safe out there today.
Yes, sir. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And we'll check in with 911 Communications next.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale.
Here's Amanda now reporting in from Communications Center. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning.
What's on the report from the weekend?
Well, in the past 48 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office 911 Communications Center has processed 904 911 calls and administrative calls, which consisted of 87 for the emergency medical services, 222 for the Sheriff's Office, 97 for Forest City, 29 for Lake Lure, 44 for Rutherford, and 46 for Spindale. Bostic Fire Department had a fire alarm. Cliffside had a motor vehicle crash. Forest City had 2 motor vehicle crashes and also 2 fire alarms. And Hudlow had a motor vehicle crash, and that is all.
Thanks so much. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye. That shooting I referred to happened on Friday at 9:30 a.m. The Rutherford County Sheriff's Office Communications Center received a 911 call reporting that someone had been shot on Cali Road in Forest City. Sheriff's Office deputies responded to Cali Road and found a man lying near the road with a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Rutherford County EMS transported the injured man to Spartanburg Regional Medical Center, where he was taken into surgery. Detectives with the county sheriff's office, along with NCSBI agent, responded to the scene to investigate the shooting. The Rutherford County District Attorney's Office is also working in conjunction with detectives on this shooting, and more information will be provided at a later time as this investigation continues. As of this morning, I have nothing new on that particular case. We're checking in now with SDO Fire District, Shallow, Danieltown, Oakland community. That's where Ruby Taylor is, and we'll get a report from there and see what happened over the weekend, if anything at all. Braves coming up this evening. They changed teams to playing with. Arizona Diamondbacks, that's 6:55 tonight. They won on Sunday 6-3 over the Marlins. Saturday, Marlins 4, Braves 1, and Friday, Braves 1 over the Marlins 6-8. Here now is Ruby Taylor reporting in from SDO. Good morning, Ruby.
Good morning.
What's on your report?
Well, the fire department didn't have any calls, and I have one birthday, and that's Pearl Robbins, and I hope she has a good day. And the signs are in the arms today and tomorrow, and that's all I've got, Jim.
Thanks, Ruby. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Holiday weekend is underway. Officially, unofficial start to summer, and many people will kick it off with road trip. AAA predicts nearly 1.2 million North Carolinians will travel at least 50 miles or more from home this weekend, including today, which is a 7.2% increase over 2021. All right, let's head up toward the mountains to Fairfield Mountains Fire District. And Gary Wilson, happy Memorial Day to you.
How was your weekend? Pretty good?
So far, so good. Had a pretty good weekend so far. How about you?
Yep, been pretty much on the quiet side, not too bad. Had a couple of calls this weekend, one yesterday for a fire alarm and one early this morning for a medical call. But other than that, I think they were fairly quiet the rest of the weekend. A lot of people in town, back and forth, and hopefully everybody will exit safely and they can come back again soon. But looked like a pretty normal Memorial Day weekend for a change, which was good to see.
Nice to have those, huh?
Yeah, we need some more of those this summer. And everything else been pretty quiet overnight, sitting on about 64 degrees this morning, got about 85 yesterday, nice warm day. Pretty afternoon yesterday. A little bit of breeze blowing. Couldn't beat it yesterday. We'll get warmer though, they say. So.
Yeah, it's going to be warmer today and tomorrow, but maybe have a little breeze to help us out.
That'll be good.
You find you a big tree to sit under, Gary?
A glass of lemonade. And
yeah.
You're ready to get it in.
There you go.
I believe we're good. Everything else is good to go up here, Jim.
All right, Gary, thanks so much. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
About to then.
All right, bye-bye. Well, Washburn Store is going to be open most of the day. They're closed about 1 o'clock today probably, but they're open this morning, and they want you to come by and see them on this Memorial Day. It's a big day over there for them, and they are open for your convenience, but they'll close around 1. So if you're out about scouting around, scout on over to Washburn Store today and find those things you've been looking for of service to you and somebody you want to give a gift to. Great gift ideas over there at Washburn Store. And they'll make you feel right at home when you walk in the doors at Washburn General Store. Remember, open today until about 1 o'clock. Go see them between Bostic and Sunshine on the Bostic Sunshine Highway, right smack in the Washburn community. All right, let's go to DeBurn over in Bostic, see what's been happening. Good morning, DeBurn.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. Have you had a good weekend so far?
So far, so good.
Good.
Okay, over here in Bostic this morning, we have a temperature of 68 degrees. Fire department had one medical call, and we want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day, and thanks to all the men and women who serve for our country. And go by Washburn's and check their items out. They have something for the men, the women, and the children. And don't forget the Teddy Bears for Children barbecue fundraiser, Saturday, June the 4th. 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Kiwanis Park in Ralston. They're raising money to purchase teddy bears to fill the trunks of Ralston, spin down Far City police cars, bears to be used for children in unhappy situations. And hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day.
You enjoy your day as well, DeVern, and do something nice for yourself, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye. You know, more and more people I'm hearing talk about how unhappy and unsatisfied they are with the complications of health care anymore, all the insurance papers, and not ever sure if they're going to get their services they need. Well, why don't you give Brock Family Care an opportunity to show you how well they'll treat you. Imagine quality primary care health and urgent care services for you without the hassles. It is available to you and your family from Brock Family Care. Family medicine the way it ought to be. No insurance to deal with. General primary medical care, chronic disease prevention and management, urgent care, medication management, and so much more. Brock Family Care is a membership-based model where patients pay their primary care provider directly through monthly or annual fees rather than paying through an insurance provider. Not accepting any forms of health insurance cuts out the hassles and allows for more personalized and affordable health care. It may be time to move into this kind of plan for you and your family or your business. Call today and get more information. Here is the number. Write it down. 828-382-7282. This is the way health care should be. Call 828-382-7282. Brock Family Care, 289 Shallow Road, Forest City. Now let's say good morning to Bob Hodge. He's over there in the Hudlow Fire District. Bob, good morning to you.
Well, good Memorial Day morning up here.
I'll tell you, it couldn't be nicer out there weather-wise this morning. It's looking really pretty. It's going to get hot, though, but right now it's nice.
That's right there. That sun's coming up bright up here this morning. Be a good day to drill out this afternoon or something there. So
Yeah, I believe I'd wait this afternoon to do that, though, wouldn't you?
that's right.
Be hot at noontime.
Gonna be a nice day for everybody to get out and enjoy themselves today. And Jim, up there with the fire department over the weekend, we answered one motor vehicle accident call and a couple medical calls. And that's about it with the fire department so far. And this morning things are pretty quiet and running good up there.
Good.
So I hope everybody has a good Memorial Day, and I hope you have a good day, Jim, and
Thanks.
you take care.
I hope the fire department don't get any calls the next 24 hours so they can enjoy the day themselves.
That'd be nice. They can get out and enjoy the day themselves there. Right. That's true.
Bob, thank you so very much. I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
Here's Sue Price now. She's reporting from the Cherry Mountain Fire District with our Monday morning report. How you doing today, Sue?
Good morning, Jim. I'm doing good. Hope you are.
I am indeed.
Well, good. It'll be a pretty day, looks like.
Yes.
Well, let's see. I didn't have any calls from the fire department. I don't have any birthdays or anniversaries on my calendar. First Broad's got a birthday for Trip Queen, so I hope Trip's going to have a good day. And Fairview's got a birthday for Dalton Blackwell. So not too many celebrating that I know about, but we hope anybody that's having a birthday or anniversary will have a good day on their special day. And in my announcements, the Sunshine Church will be having Memorial Day service June the 5th at 11 a.m. No meal to follow. And Steve Harmon is going to be their speaker. And Duncans Creek Church will be having memorial service 11 a.m. on June 5th. And they'll be having a picnic lunch to follow. So churches are busy this month with their memorial services and remembering those that's passed on. So just to have a good day on those days. Enjoy seeing people you hadn't seen for maybe a year. And so far, that's the only announcements I have, Jim. It's just quiet and calm, looking for a good day, and I hope you'll have one.
Thanks, Sue. I hope you have a good one as well, and get some rest today, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. 7:33.
Hey, folks, Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply is an amazing store. I can say that because they have what you need. From pet supplies to fire and ant killer to horse-quality Timothy alfalfa hay, $14 per bale. Attention carp fishermen, they have C&J flavoring, only $8 per bottle. And they have oats for sale. Refill your propane tanks at the lowest price. Fully stocked with all your deer supplies and a great selection of farm implements. Need mulch? $12 per scoop. We could call it a superstore. Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, Supply, 188 Whiteside Road in Rutherfordton.
Jim, have you seen Henson Building Materials' newly remodeled showroom? It's gorgeous.
You mean where they have a full line of hardware and building materials for homeowners and home builders?
I mean where Jamie, Terry, and Tony, their friendly staff, treat me like family. Oh, they're so nice.
Hey, are they taking COVID precautions and have curbside service?
Of course. They're so thoughtful.
I do need some materials, but I don't think they'll fit in our car.
Oh, silly. They have professional delivery so we can get whatever I want.
Henson Building Materials, 177 Duke Street in Forest City.
Building starts here.
Now let's head up toward the Shingle Hollow Fire District, where a lot of folks live up that way. A lot of nice folks live up that way, and Tina White is one of them. Tina, let's find out what's been happening up there. Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to you.
It has been a beautiful weekend up here in Shingle Hollow. The fish fry went wonderful, and you were saying a lot of good people up here in Shingle Hollow. I am so glad. I'm just so happy to live here. There's so many good people and do great things for each other and look out for each other, and I just thank God for that. But up here this morning in Shingle Hollow is 65 degrees. The sun is trying to peek through. It's just a little bit cloudy, but it's supposed to warm up right nice if I understand correctly.
It is indeed.
Yes. And White House Community Clubhouse has an announcement they want me to share with you. Friday, June 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m., they're having a community-wide invitation for children to come out. And they're having a movie called, the name of it's Spirit, and they're going to have popcorn and ice cream. And they just want everyone to, have a good, friendly environment for the kids to watch a movie and have fun. And again, that's this Friday, White House Community Clubhouse, June 3rd, 6 to 8 p.m. They're showing the movie Spirit, and it's going to be outside. Bring your blanket, your chairs, and they're going to have popcorn and ice cream. And for birthdays today, we have Delaney Richardson, and the fire department was all quiet in the past 24 hours. It's just been a good weekend. We expect for the week to be good, the day to be good, and the police report this morning, man, it was a long one, wasn't it?
It was long, and a lot of things happened over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
People don't behave themselves like you and I do.
We try to be good, don't we? Sometimes it's hard. Well, have you got big plans this afternoon?
Well, I'm going to the 11 o'clock memorial service down in Forest City at 11 o'clock, and from that point on, I think my family, other part of my family's having a cookout this afternoon. I'll be going to. Other than that, I've got a honeydew list I got to take care of between all that time.
Mm-hmm.
My honeydew list never seems to end.
It just keeps having things added to it and added to it.
I think when I get a couple of them accomplished and mark them off the list, I think Fate sneaks behind me and writes 2 or 3 more on there.
That's the way it is, Jim. And it's not just for honeydew list; it's for other honeys too. As wives, we have our own list, and it's a rolling list. It just keeps going and going.
I believe it.
But that's better than the alternative. I would hate to be idle.
I know it. I'm glad there are a few things I can actually do. Some things I can't handle. I have to call in somebody to help, but some things I can do. I put up a mailbox Saturday. Our mailbox is tearing up and it wouldn't close, and mail carriers sometimes would leave it open. It'd rain in on the mail, so I finally had to get another one, and it was it was sort of a challenge to get some of those little rusty screws out of there, but I got it done.
Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't have to dig another post, a hole for the post or anything. You just used the same one you had.
That's right. Yep. I was fortunate in that respect. Yeah.
Yes. I was pricing mailboxes earlier in the year. My mom and I were. It's ridiculous how much a mailbox costs.
I know it.
Also, I asked too, is Farmer's Friend open this morning? Are they already busy over there?
They are. They opened about 6:30 this morning. The gates are standing wide open, and they're over there right now.
I'm going to make a trip over there in just a little while and work in my little flowers a little bit in my herb garden.
There you go.
We're going to do a cookout this afternoon, so I hope everyone does stay safe. And, if there was some fireworks last night around, so I'll do a little reminder if people are having if people have pets, protect them because they don't like those big fireworks. Bring them inside or keep them where they can't run away.
That's right. Good advice.
Enjoy your day. God bless you. Stay safe, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow, Tina. Bye.
Bye.
That's Tina White reporting out of Shingle Hollow, and we're going up to Union Mills next to get that report. Let me brag on Hutchins Pest Control a minute. Don't let the pest bug you when Hutchins Pest Control is as close as a phone call. Honest, dependable, professional, and on-time service may be the reason they keep getting voted best pest control. If you have a pest problem, call this family-run business at 287-5171. Licensed in North and South Carolina and fully insured and bonded. Get a free estimate when you call Hutchins Pest Control and be sure the job is done right. That's Hutchins Pest Control. Call them today at 287-5171 and they'll be right there.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? Hi, I'm Andrew Tisdale, your local Edward Jones financial advisor. When we work together, we focus what's important to you. We create a personalized strategy backed by our advice, our tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And we partner together to help your strategy stay on track no matter what happens. Contact me at any time at 828-287-9197. We'll sit down, talk, and we're going to make a strategy that's right for you.
Thank you, Andrew. Now let's head up to Union Mills to get the Kelly Report on this Monday morning. Good morning, Brenda Kelly.
Good morning, Jim Bishop. How are you on this marvelous Monday morning?
I'm good. I'm happy.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. You sound happy.
I am happy.
That's good. You got a program about what, 11 o'clock?
Yes, we're going downtown Forest City for that program.
Who's going to sing the national anthem?
I don't know if they'll have that.
Sissy Austin.
Who?
Sissy Austin.
Is she going to do that today?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
And her husband's going to be giving a message.
Oh, good.
That's my preacher and his wife.
Good. She's a wonderful singer. I've heard her do that
on
several occasions.
She can do it. She can reach them high notes, no problem whatsoever.
That'll be great. That'll be nice for people to hear because it's a time to remember, and that is a memorial service. And of course, at the end of it, they always play taps.
Yeah. Oh, I love taps. I want to go, but I don't know. My knee went out on me yesterday.
Oh no.
I'm old, yeah, and it hurts, so I got my arthritis cream out and rubbed it down good. As long as I'm standing up, it don't bother me. When I sit down and try to bend, it's when it bothers me.
Yeah.
It hurt. It's called birthdays. I've had too many birthdays on that old knee.
Well, I'm glad you're having them though.
I am too, and I don't want no surgery, so it'll either have to get better or I'll just deal with it. I've had enough surgeries to last me 2 lifetimes.
Well, getting old is not for sissies, is it?
No, it ain't. No. Well, let's see. I've got 62 degrees on the front porch today, and it is Memorial Day, and it's also a new moon. So that's good. And in ways of announcements, Friday, June the 3rd, 6 p.m., chicken sandwich meal, and the cost is $6. This is at the Union Mills Learning Center. At 7 p.m., they'll have music. Homegrown will open for Good Old Boys, and the Good Old Boys are from the Morganton area. And then Friends for a Cure Against Cancer inside yard sale, proceeds to benefit Relay for Life, June the 11th, 8 p.m. to 1 p.m. This will be at the Desertville Community Building, 74 Clubhouse Road, Nebo, NC 28761, between 226 South and Bang Mountain Road. Then the Gilkey School Community Center will have a buffet breakfast on June the 11th, starting at 7 a.m. and going to 10 a.m. Adults, $8. Kids, 6 to 12, $3. Kids 5 and under, free. And money goes to help support the community center. And so far, that's all I know of going on up here. So.
Okay. Well, hope your knee gets better.
I hope it does too, and I'll just have to wait and see if I can make it down there or not. But I do want to go. It sounds like a good program. And
you have a horse or anything you could ride?
Do I have a horse?
Yeah, you have a horse and you could ride?
No, can you see me riding down there on a horse? Come on, get real, Jim Bishop. I used to ride horses when I was like 19 or 20 years old, and I lived in Mississippi. But I ain't been on one since, and I have no desire to get on one.
I bet people thought you were Annie Oakley.
Well, I don't know about that, but I rode them horses.
Well, you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you. If not, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, have a good one.
Thanks.
Catch you later.
Bye. That's the Cali Report. Union Mills at 7:45. Ellenboro is next.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush, brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton.
Now, 7:45 on this Monday, Memorial Day. We're headed over toward Ellenboro and talk with Luther Gilligan, see what's been happening over there. Good morning, Luther.
Good morning to you two. It's a nice day down here. I hope you're having a good one.
Are you harassing my producer this morning?
Sir?
Are you harassing my producer?
No, but I'm talking to them, giving them their words of wisdom for the day.
Oh, good. Well, she needs some words of wisdom.
Yep, remind them all why they celebrate and why they get the day off.
Well, some people do.
Yeah, some people do. Because I get every day off.
You're a lucky man.
Yeah, just go out every day, do nothing, come back home. Tell my wife how tired I am.
You don't want no more coffee?
It is quiet down here, though. Nothing going on. We had a quiet weekend for the most part. Fire department had 2 medical calls. Other than that, they quiet. Nothing with them, so there's nothing going on here. No big celebrations planned for the day down in Ellenboro, so everything's going to be quiet. So you have a great day up there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Luther. I'll see you then. So long.
All right, take care now.
Bye. Birthday time, birthdays and anniversary. This is the 30th of May, May 30th. If you're one of those lucky ones celebrating another birthday, we'd love to hear about it. Love to celebrate with you. So call Tracy now at 287-3356. She's standing by to take those birthday calls and anniversary calls, and we'll give you a big shout out on this day. So you can call now. The phone lines are clear for birthdays and anniversaries. Again, that's 287-3356. Nobody gets a better deal than the customers at Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record of the best deals. Sisk Family Ford, Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealer, has recently been recognized as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. That speaks well of their commitment to serve their customers well. Look for all the new design 2021 F-150 at Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealership. That's Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City. Well, Granny B's in Spindale, they're closed on Mondays. They close today, of course. It's Monday and a holiday, but they'll be open tomorrow. And you can get that good breakfast that folks are bragging about. They do breakfast starting early at 6:30 in the mornings and serve breakfast until about 11. And you can also enjoy a good hot lunch with those subs. It's just out of this world. They put whatever you like on that sub, and they kind of meat choices or all kinds of slaw and salads, all those kind of things. They'll ask you what you want on it, and it is, you could fill it up or just eat it plain. But either way, you'll find a good meal at Granny B's there in Spindale, right next door to the Shake Shop.
Happy birthday.
We want to wish a happy birthday to Evan Romer this morning. Evan Romer celebrating on this Memorial Day, so happy birthday, Evan. Keys to Confident Living coming up in just a few moments. We'll find out what that conversation is all about today, and we'll take you down memory lane to play some classic oldies. Until news time, at top of the hour, we'll have some news from here and there and update you on some Memorial Day activities and what Memorial Day is all about, all straight ahead.
Francis Bacon said that anger makes dull men witty, but it keeps them poor. Anger may be justified, righteous, acceptable, or even understandable, but it can lead to great poverty in the area of friendship. Anger unleashed in an uncontrollable manner can be very destructive. Two young boys were playing with a top. They had been taking turns spinning it for a while, but eventually one became contentious, and they both ended up very angry. A shouting match ensued. They argued about whose turn it was. They shouted words like, "You're a liar, you're selfish, and I hate you." One boy grabbed his pocket knife and started stabbing his friend. That friend died a few days later from the wounds. One boy was dead, and the other a murderer, all because they disagreed about whose turn it was to spin the top. Most of us will never let our anger reach such destructive proportions, but we've probably all let it take us to a point where we've used our tongues to inflict wounds upon another person. Words spun in anger are irretrievable. They are like feathers blown away by a strong wind. We can never totally avoid the emotion of anger. We wouldn't want to. Sometimes it's necessary in order to get us to make some wise decisions or to take some righteous actions. The Bible tells us that in anger, do not sin. If we heed that advice, we won't be poor in friendship. This is Bill Hostler with today's Key to Confident Living. The Bible.
WCAB, Rutherfordton.
31-year-old white female of Ellenboro, charged with looks like 4 counts of failure to appear on misdemeanors, given a $3,500 secured bond. We have a Zeb John Davis, 38-year-old white male of Spindale, charged with being a habitual felon, or served with a habitual felon, given a $45,000 secured bond. We have James Mitchell Downing, 38-year-old white male of Rutherford, served with 1 count of failure to appear on misdemeanor, given a $500 unsecured bond. We have James Matthew Ridgewell, 30-year-old white male of Rutherford, charged with 1 count of felony flee to elude arrest with a motor vehicle, given a $10,000 secured bond. We have a Joshua Nathaniel Aldridge, 30-year-old white male of Morrisboro, charged with 4 counts of failure to appear on misdemeanor, given a $4,500 secured bond. And we have a Daniel Jones, 38-year-old white male of Morrisboro, was served with being a fugitive from South Carolina, given a $10,000 secured bond. And that's all we have this morning.
Stay safe, everybody, today as you're out and about doing some cooking out or driving somewhere to visit somebody on this Memorial Day. We hope you will indeed drive carefully, be safe, and remember and reflect on what this day means.
NCN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. Denny Hamlin held off Joe Gibbs' racing teammate Kyle Busch in overtime to win the Coca-Cola 600 Sunday night. It was the longest and perhaps the wildest finish in history for the race, and it was his first win at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The race runner-up talked about finishing second in NASCAR's longest and grueling race that lasted more than 5.5 hours, ran 413 laps. It also featured 18 cautions and 12 wrecks that took out 16 drivers.
Thought we had a shot, but he got a good side draft into one, and I tried to re-attack and just couldn't. I was way too tight, and way too tight all night long. So to be in that position like that there at the end was remarkable for what we went through today.
In the NBA playoffs, Jason Tatum led the way with 26 points, while Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart added 24 apiece as Boston beat the East top-seeded Heat 196 at Miami last night in Game 7 to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. They are playing Golden State for the championship. Game 1 is Thursday in San Francisco. In the NHL playoffs, the Carolina Hurricanes will host the New York Rangers tonight for Game 7 of their NHL second-round matchup. Carolina is 7-0 at PNC Arena this postseason. They've won 6 straight Game 7s, dating back to the franchise's relocation to Carolina. And Rod Brind'Amour has been a part of every single one of those, either as a player or a coach. He was asked which is more nerve-wracking.
That's a good question. I think you're always more nervous as a coach because as a player, you're worried about you. As a coach, there's a little more nerves because it is a bit more out of your control, and you're also worrying about 20 guys versus yourself.
A win tonight would give the Canes an NHL record 7 consecutive Game 7 wins. More importantly, they would advance to the Eastern Conference Finals against two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay. Puck drops at 8 tonight from PNC Arena in Raleigh. This is NCN Sports.
Agriculture drives our local economy. I'm Lee Ivey, Director of the Agricultural Institute at NC State University, and we are looking for our next generation of innovative leaders. We offer 6 different agricultural degrees with a small school feel at a large university. Our students experience the on-campus lifestyle at NC State with small class sizes, state-of-the-art facilities, and big-time Wolfpack sports. There's something for everyone. Enroll by June 1st. 2 years, 1 degree, endless possibilities. Learn more at cows.ncsu.edu/AGI.
Look
at that view. Too bad it can't compete with you.
You're my little sunset.
On land, parents snuggling with one another is described by the kids as so gross. Ugh, and guys, please.
Stop it.
However, on a boat, it's kind of sweet and, aw, cute. That's why it's crucial the family saved by bundling their boat insurance with Geico. Savings means more gas money and boating out on the water. The place where a canoodling parental couple is, aw, cute.
I love you more.
Geico for your boat. Bundle and save even more.
Sweden's Marcus Ericsson won the Indy 500, and after the race, he told CBS Indianapolis TV affiliate WTTV it's a dream come true.
I'm still struggling to understand and sort of take it all in, but incredible.
Ericsson's raced Formula One for 5 seasons before making the switch to IndyCar racing in 2019. The first-place finish at the Indy 500 is his third IndyCar victory in 52 starts. He's the second Swede to win the Indy 500. Countryman Kenny Brack did it in 1999. Steve Aker avoided mistakes down the stretch and closed with an 8-under 63 for a 3-shot victory over Stephen Ames in the Senior PGA Championship, his third title this year and first major. What's even more impressive, Elker started the final round 4 shots behind and forged a 3-way tie with Ames and Bernard Langer on the back 9. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
Good morning. The unofficial start of summer feeling a lot like summer. Partly cloudy and hot for your Memorial Day. High temperatures climb into the upper 80s to lower 90s. Tonight, mostly clear. Temperatures dip into the low to mid 60s. And tomorrow, heating up into the low to mid 90s again. Feeling a bit more humid under partly cloudy skies. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Thank you very much, Kat Campbell. It's 8:29, 68 degrees, warming up to about 87 here in the foothills of WCAB country. And wind blowing about 5 miles per hour, dropping back to 67 tonight for the overnight low. Tuesday, mostly sunny, highs around 90. If you're going to be outdoors today, be sure you stay hydrated, drink a lot of fluids, a lot of water to keep yourself hydrated and protect yourself in the sun rays. Today is going to be a hot, sunny day. And thank you so much for spending this morning with me. We'll do this again tomorrow morning. If you'll get up bright and early, join me at 6:05. It's time now for the Word of Faith Fellowship radio program. And with the program this morning is Greg Sutherland.
Good morning. My name is Greg Sutherland. I appreciate you listening in this morning, whether you're listening over WCAB or the internet. I'm glad you're here this morning. I'm just grateful to have an opportunity to share with you today what God's been teaching me, because that's really what it's all about. You know, God put us all here on this earth at this time together for a reason, to help each other, because God really does want us to make it. It says that he doesn't wish that any should perish, but that all should come to that place of coming to know him and making it to heaven. And we're here to help each other to make it to heaven. I'm not going to be able to take my clothes, my money, my car, anything with me to heaven, but we can take each other. And that's what God's called us to do. And really what God's put on my heart today is to share with you about the call of God on each and every one of our lives. Mine, yours, every single person. God has a call. And as a people, we've had a lot of misconceptions about that, I believe, and what it means, and really what has God called us to do. Because God places people on the earth at certain times in certain places for his purposes. God's the author of life. He is the one that gives life. So if we are here, there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. He wants me here right now speaking to you because he has a reason. And really, I am fulfilling at least part of the call of God on my life right now, sitting here, speaking to you, sharing with you what Jesus has shared with me. That's part of the call of God on my life right now. So a lot of times we get caught up in, so what is my call? What's my purpose in being here? Why was I born? Well, that's where you've got to go back to what has God said. And God has a reason for each individual person. As many people as have lived on this earth, are here now, and will live on this earth, God is an infinite, unbelievable, powerful God who has a purpose for every trillion person that's been here. And he has a purpose for you, and he has a purpose for you today. He's a very caring God. He cares about every detail of every person's life. And a lot of times the devil comes with the circumstances, with the things in your life to convince you that God really doesn't care and that God really doesn't take notice. But he does. In Job chapter 36, verse 5, it says, "Behold, God is mighty." And we know that, but it says he considers nothing as trivial. He goes on to say that he's counted every hair on our head. He knows every single thing about us. He cares about the birds of the air. He knows when they fall. He knows when they die. He knows about every single tree. We can't even fathom that. But step back for a minute and realize that if God loves the birds enough and cares enough about the birds, he cares enough about you and I and the call that he's placed on our life to take care of every single purpose and plan, because he's called me to affect you today. He's called you to influence people today, and that's what it's all about. So I want to share with you some of the scriptures that God gave me, and I want to start with 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. Peter's talking to the people of God here, and he says, he said, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a dedicated nation, God's own purchased special people." Now that's really amazing. That's us. We are God's own purchased special people, that we may set forth the wonderful deeds and display the virtues and perfections of God. And listen to this, who called me out of darkness into his marvelous light. Because we were all born into this world with that sin nature on the inside of us because of Adam and Eve's sin. And, you know, sometimes you may think, well, that's kind of unjust, but it's not, because God sent Jesus. He provided one man to make one sacrifice of his life so that everybody, all they have to do is just accept that sacrifice and allow Jesus to come on the inside of them and change them, and they're changed forever. And then they can go and be with God and walk in his presence here on earth and then be in his presence in heaven for eternity. So God is a just God. God's a loving God. But it says that he called us, each one of us, out of darkness into his light. He's called us today to come out of those places where that sin nature has developed us and trained us and brought us up from our childhood and taught us this is the way it's supposed to be, when it's really not. God's called us out of that darkness. That's part of the call of God on our lives. But then once we've come out of that darkness, God has a plan for us to help the person next to us come out of the darkness that they're in. There's a plan for us. You know, I think about many times as a child growing up, when I was 8 years old, my parents, from the time I was 6 to about 8 years old, my parents had really begun to let God begin to deal with their hearts. They both grew up in church. They were there all the time in church. They were church-going people. They were good people, but they really didn't have that relationship with God that they thought they did. And God began to deal with them and began to change their hearts, and they began to come to know God personally. And when they did, when I was 8 years old, they felt like God called them into the ministry to be full-time pastors. And so when I was 8, my parents became pastors, and they are still pastors. But at that time, that sin nature on the inside of me began to teach me and form me into ways that I wasn't called to be. And I began to watch them, and I began to watch from the outside, not really understanding what God was doing in their hearts. And that began to form in me to say, but I don't want to be a pastor. I can't be a pastor. And really that was that sin nature in me, training me to be rebellious and to reject the call of God that was on my life. When God had called me from before I was born, he called me. He chose me, as it says here in 1 Peter 2. He chose me. I am part of that royal priesthood, that chosen race, that dedicated nation. And in Jeremiah, I thought this was really precious. I was looking at this yesterday, where God called Jeremiah. And he said, in chapter 1 of Jeremiah, he said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew and approved of you as my chosen instrument." Now, God's speaking that to Jeremiah however many hundreds and thousands of years ago, but it's true today for you and I. God formed each one of us in the womb. And it says he knew and approved of us before we were ever born as his chosen instrument. Now, God has different calls on our lives. God hasn't called me to be this. God hasn't called me to be that. God's called me to be what I am. You know, part of the call of God on my life is the job that I have, and I don't really consider it a job. I consider it part of my ministry. My father-in-law was a doctor for almost 60 years. That was part of his calling. He was called to be a doctor, but he'd be the first to tell you, I am a minister of God who practices medicine. He recognized the call of God on his life. He knew part of it was to be a doctor, to help people physically, but also to be a minister of God in their lives to help them to make it to heaven. And that's really what God's saying to Jeremiah here. He said, before you were born, I separated and I set you apart, consecrating you, and I appointed you. And God's really saying that to you and I today. He has a purpose. He has a plan for us, and it's different. What God's called me to do, he's called you to do something different. God's called me to affect and to have a part in people's lives that he's called you to affect other people's lives. I can't affect everyone in the world. I can't touch everyone's life in this world. That's why God has all of us. And that's why God had Jeremiah. And that's why God called each one of us. And I began to go through the scriptures. And God began to show me how he called different ones. You can go back to the very beginning. How God called Abraham. Abraham was living in a godless pagan city. Very modern city. That was full of idol worship. Was full of devil worship. But God chose and picked Abraham. And he called him. So what was the difference between Abraham and all those other people that lived in that city? Abraham answered the call of God on his life. And God called him and he said, come out from those people, leave your family, leave your friends, and go to a place that I'm sending you. So that you, and really what God was saying is, so that you could fulfill the call of God on your life. And part of the call of God on Abraham's life was to set an example for us of walking with God. Go back and read about Abraham's life in the book of Genesis and even in the book of Hebrews where it talks about him. And it talks about where Abraham, he walked with God. He obeyed God. He submitted his heart to God to do whatever God called him to do. There was one instance where Abraham's nephew that left with him, he and his family and everything that he had was taken captive by 5 kings and their armies, so quite a number of people. And when Abraham heard about it, the call of God came up on the inside of him, and he took 300 of his servants, just 300, and went and defeated those 5 kings that 4 kings and their army hadn't been able to defeat. Abraham and his 300 servants went because it was the call of God on his life, defeated those kings, got everything back, and returned them. That's walking in the call of God on your life. But many times, that sin nature I was referring to comes up and says, but you can't do that. You can't do what God's called you to do. But it's not truth. Because God didn't call you and I based on our ability, based on who we were. God called us because of what he's called us to do. He has equipped us to do what we're called to do. Many times we don't ever see that. That's because we haven't taken that step to begin walking in that call and let God develop us and let God train us. I'm very aware in what I do in my daily life, on my job, at home. I'm very aware that what I'm doing is not just for what I'm doing at the moment, but there's a purpose for it. And God's training me and getting me ready for the next step in my life, whatever that is. And I don't have to know what that is. I can look back at my life, and I'm sure you can look back at yours, and you can see where the things that you've been through, how they've trained us, how they got us ready for the next thing God had for us. You know, it talks about in Hebrews 5, where that Jesus in the days of his flesh, when he was here with us on the earth, he cried out to God, it says, for that which he not only wanted, but he needed. And it goes on to say that he learned, Jesus learned, active special obedience through what he suffered. And whether it's something good that happens or it's a hard time that we go through, if we let God work in us through those situations, no matter what they are, we change. And it gets us ready, and we begin to walk more and more in the call of God on our lives. I was looking at Joseph back in the book of Genesis, where, it didn't look like a good thing at first that his brothers sold him into slavery. And his brothers were wicked in doing that. But God used that. He used that time not only to prepare Joseph. It says that Joseph was in slavery and in prison for 14 years. It's a long time. And he didn't ever have any hope in the natural that he was going to be set free or come out or ever see his family again or anything. But you can tell by reading there was a peace in his heart that God was working in him. And God was training him. And it says, and he acknowledges, he said, God set me aside. He told his brothers in the book of Genesis, he said, don't be afraid. Don't worry about what happened. Yes, you sold me into slavery, but God had a purpose for it. God put me here ahead of you to preserve your life. And God has put us where we are to help preserve life. I believe with all my heart that God spoke to me to share with you today. And that God put me here today to speak to you, to minister to you, that there's people out there, at least one person, myself included, that needs to hear this today to help us to make it. And we don't understand sometimes what one thing we say, what one thing we do affects people's lives, changes them forever. Just one word, just one statement, just one thing. If you read in the book of Acts about Paul, the apostle, he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament that we're still reaping the fruit of today. God's still speaking through those books in the Bible today. But he was affected by Stephen, God's minister, where God anointed Stephen and he preached the gospel, and he even to the death, where he preached to the people that were putting him on trial and were going to put him to death. He preached to them the gospel, wasn't afraid, was bold about it, and it cost him his life. And even to the very end, Stephen cried out, God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And that affected Paul. And that set the stage for him to be on the road to Damascus and for God to come to him and to change his life. So let's stop for a minute. Paul was called to be an apostle. And it says in the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, that God has gifts and calls. Some he's called to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors, some teachers. But it also goes on in a different part of the New Testament. It references where God has called us to other ministries, the ministry of helps, to helping people, to ministering to the widows, to the orphans, to whatever God's called us to do. You may not be called to be an evangelist, but God has a word for you to speak to the person next to you, your husband, your wife, your child, your co-worker, your relative, your neighbor next door, the person you run into at Walmart. We should always be ready in the call of God on our lives, no matter where we are, to be able to reach out to the person that God brings to us. I'm aware of a person that I went to high school with, and a lot of people treated him wrong. But the love of God that he put in my heart, I don't know where it came from. It wasn't me, but God put it in my heart. I always reached out to that person. I always reached out to Mark. I always was friendly to him. I always tried to help him. And, I found out years later, after he had passed away, his parents told me, when I finally met him, they said, "Oh, you're Greg. Mark talked about you all the time." And I thought, I wasn't even aware of what I was really saying and doing, but it was God using me. It was the call of God on my life, without me even being aware of it, to affect people. And that's what I want to put across to you today, and I want to encourage you today to begin to walk in your call. Don't get hung up on what your call is. Your call is today, hearing God's voice and obey. When God called Abraham, it says that he got up and he left. When God called Abraham to go to the mountain and sacrifice Isaac, it says he got up early in the morning and he left. And I wanted to read you in Matthew chapter 4, where Jesus was walking along the Sea of Galilee, chapter 4, verse 18, and he says he noticed two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, throwing a dragnet into the sea, for they were fishermen. So here are these two men. They're fishing in the Sea of Galilee because that's who they were. That was their profession. And back then, fishermen, that was a rough life. They were on the sea a lot. It was a hard work, dragging those nets in, getting those fish, selling those fish. But that's what they were. Jesus saw them, and he saw beyond what they were doing. And he saw the call of God on their life. God put it in his heart who they really were. And it says in verse 19, and Jesus said to them, come after me as disciples, letting me be your guide. And Jesus is saying that to all of us today. Come after me, be my disciple, and let me be your guide. Don't try to figure out what it is that God has called you to do. Just be what God's called you to be. Just be what God's telling you to be right then, who you're supposed to be, and let him be your guide. And he said, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Now listen to this. This is powerful. Verse 20, at once, not next week, not next year, not 2 weeks later, at once, they left their nets and became his disciples, sided with his party, and followed him. And you know what happened after that? They became two of his 12 disciples. They walked with him while he was here on the earth, and they ministered. I mean, they changed the world. They changed our lives today, thousands of years later, because they simply laid down their nets, what they thought, and they left it, and they went and followed Jesus. They gave up what they thought. They gave up their ambitions. They gave up their plans to be what God called them to be. You know, you can't really be happy. You can't truly be happy apart from walking in the call of God in your life. It's like the old expression, trying to put a square peg into a round hole. You can't do it. It won't work. You're never going to fit. You're going to always feel that place in your heart that's unfulfilled if you don't walk in the call that God placed on your life. It goes on to say in verse 21, going on further from there, Jesus noticed two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, in their boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets and putting them right, and he called them. And again, at once, they left the boat and their father and joined Jesus as disciples, sided with his party, and followed him. They left their boat and their father. They laid down their lives to be what God called them to be. The Apostle John wrote 4 books in the Bible. Peter wrote 2 of the books of the Bible. You know, they went on to be what God called them to be, and that's really what God's calling us to do today, is to lay down what we think. More than anything is what we think. What the world has taught us, what we've trained, what we've grown up, what we've thought we were supposed to be. Lay it aside. Say, Jesus, I just want to be what you've called me to be. Whether it's a doctor, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a landscaper, a factory worker, an office worker, no matter what it is, that you choose to set all that aside in your heart today and say, God, you've called me. I acknowledge that. What do you have for me? What do you want me to be? And God may have you continue to be a factory worker, but one that walks with Jesus in what you do. I really pray every day, and I cry out to God, God, help me to do my job today by your Spirit, by you being my guide, like Jesus talked about here, so that that influences and that affects other people around me. Whether I'm at Walmart, I want to be aware of the people around me, because if you cry out, God will bring people to you. God will put you in places, and God will bring people across your path to affect. And when you have that word from God for them, it changes them. You may not ever see it. You may not ever realize it, but one day when we get to heaven, we're going to be shocked at the number of people that we affected and we didn't even know it. We may not have even been aware they ever existed, but one thing we said, one thing we did affected people. You know, that's why I'm aware of what I do when I'm in the grocery store or I'm in Lowe's or wherever I am, that I'm aware of having the people around me in my heart because I am a minister. And I want them to be changed, and I want them to be affected, and I want them to make it to heaven. And when you start thinking that way, the things in the world around us, the things that we go through seem petty because there's a higher purpose, there's a higher call, there's a bigger reason to do what we're doing. You know, there's plenty of things in the natural that I could do today, but I couldn't do today because I know God's called me to be here. I couldn't do them in peace. I couldn't do them by the Spirit of God because God's called me to be here today, speaking to you, giving you the word from God that's for you, that's for me, so that we can be what God's always called us to be. God is the master author, the master constructor, the master builder who knows how everything's supposed to fit together. It says that his gifts are varied. It says that we're like a body. You know, we can't, and he says you can't all be a finger, you can't all be an eye or an ear, and you can't think that because I'm not an eye, I'm not anything. My dad uses the example all the time, your little toe, you may not pay attention to it, but if you hit that little toe in the middle of the night, every part of your body is concerned about that little toe. Because that little toe has a purpose. There's a purpose. When we don't have part of our body, it affects us. There's a purpose for every single part of us. There's a purpose for my thumbs, my fingers, my eyes. God gave us two eyes, not just one for a reason. God had a purpose for everything. And so in the body of Christ, God's called us to walk together. I can't be you. You can't be me. God's called me to be a part of his body for the role, for the purpose he's called me to be. And if I don't walk in that, it affects the body. I don't want to affect the body for bad. I want to affect the body. I want to be able to help the next member, the next person, to be able to do their function, to be able to do what God's called them to do. I don't want to be a hindrance. I want to be a help. So as you're going through your day today, be aware, Jesus, what do you want me to do today? What is it? You know, if you're cutting grass or you're typing on the computer or you're having a video meeting or whatever you're doing, Jesus, what are you calling me to do? What are you calling me to say? How do you want me to help these people? And that's what God really has for us. But let's don't be like Jonah that ran from the call of God on his life. Let's don't be like King Saul that God called to be king and he didn't obey what God had for him. Let's don't be like those, but let's be like David. God called him to be a shepherd. He put his whole heart into being a shepherd. But while he was a shepherd, he developed that relationship with God out there with those sheep. He was by himself with those sheep out there in the middle of the wilderness, taking care of the sheep, but developing his relationship with God. That's where a lot of the Psalms came from, is David just pouring his heart out to God out there in the wilderness. That's what God's called us to be like. As we're doing what God's called us to do, developing that relationship with him so that we can take that next step. David developed his relationship with God so that when it came time to take that next step to kill the giant Goliath, he was ready. And so when it came to take the next step to be king of Israel, he was ready. It says that David was a man after God's own heart. And when David missed it, he repented. He got back into fellowship with God, and that's what God's called us to be. Don't look at your natural ability and say, but I can't do that. Because really what's behind that is not that I can't, but I don't feel like I don't think I have the ability to do that. Again, God didn't call us for our ability. God called us because he has a plan and he's designated us. And truthfully, he's put the ability on the inside of us. But until we start to step out there in the call on our life, trusting in God with our whole heart, we're never going to see that ability, that gift develop. God wants to develop it. It's just like we didn't learn algebra in kindergarten. We learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't learn how to write an essay in kindergarten. We learned A, B, C, D. It developed. We developed over the years. God develops us like he developed David, like he developed Daniel as a young man. He was probably 12 or 13 when he went into the court in Babylon to stand before the king. But God developed him. God was training him. And you can see that gift and that call of God on his life as he let God develop him. He was called to be one of the leaders of that country. He was the head of that country, just below the king by the end of it. So he had a natural job, so to speak, but he was a minister of God who gave the word of the Lord to kings who influenced nations and millions of people. He gave the word of the Lord, ministered to them by the Spirit of God. And God's called us to do that, whether it's with your coworkers, your family, your friends, whatever it is today. Stop. Ask Jesus, what do you want me to do today? What's the call of God on my life today? So that I can be what you called me to be, so that I can fulfill the plan that you wrote in my book before I was ever born. There's a book out there for you. There's a book out there for me in heaven. God's plan, his call is written in that book. And he's waiting to see us fulfill that call. And I want to fulfill what's written in my book on that page for today, so that when I get to heaven, God can say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I want you to be able to hear that one day in heaven, that God say that to you, that you fulfilled the call of God on your life. So I'm praying for you today. Pray for me today that I can walk in the call of God on my life. Thank you for joining us. We're here on WCAB every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 8:30 to 9. You can watch us on the internet at wordoffaithfellowship.org. You can see all our radio programs there. Thank you for joining us. God loves you and I love you, and have a great day.
WCAB